Hey everybody, good afternoon. I'm Dustin Strong. This is the Ask Me Anything Hour for Strong on Health, and typically around 12:45 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we go live, unless of course we have some people who came in and we have live questions here. So from noon until 1, you can come in and we will talk to you about any questions you have one-on-one, and that is just our time that we're open to answer any questions. So today we're a little late because we had some people come in live, which is great. And we are going to answer some of these questions that have been submitted to us. If you have any questions about a nutritional product, about your health, about holistic health, nutrition, this is the place to submit your questions to. Send them into info@strongandhealth.com, or you can ask them right now, and Nina will be watching very closely to make sure to flag me down if there's a question that's coming right now so we can answer it. But today we're going to talk about allergy testing. I'm going to talk about a product from Thrive Market called coconut flakes. We're going to talk about pasta. We're going to talk about wheat and gluten. We're going to talk about apples. We're going to talk about inflammation. We're going to talk about a couple of products that are from a company called Standard Process, which is a whole food company that we do talk about a lot here. And we're going to talk about figs. So first of all, let's jump into the allergy testing. So allergy testing is very interesting in the fact that there can be a lot of inconsistencies in it, so it can be confusing for people. A lot of times what we'll see is that people will be showing a reaction to things that they may have been eating in the short term and not showing a reaction to things that they do have a sensitivity to because they haven't had it a lot lately. So when you really look into it, it is a piece of information that you like to bring into the equation, but you still have to think beyond that. That's why we talk about more things than that. An elimination diet is going to almost always be one of the most important and powerful ways to help you understand food sensitivities and allergies in our experience. And there's a really precise way to do this. You really need to remove foods for almost 3 weeks or sometimes longer, and then there's a really precise way of reintroducing them in isolation that's a lot more powerful from an experiential standpoint than necessarily looking at a lab that may or may not be completely clearly capturing what's going on in your body long term versus short term. So to answer the question, do we do that? Yes, we can do that. But I would be more encouraging to somebody to have an experience and learn for themselves and be able to identify and get more in tune with themselves as to the foods that they're eating and why they're having it. That being said, allergies almost always are reacting to a protein. So anytime anybody has any concern about allergies, I really want to encourage them to start thinking about their digestion. Are you digesting all the proteins? Yes, people say, well, I'm getting an allergy to dander or a cat, but there are still proteins that are getting in, and there are other aspects of why you're having that reaction. And the question has to be, why are you so reactive? It's not just because you are unlucky. There are things going on in your body that are going to make you more susceptible to those things. But number one, when it comes to food sensitivities, I would look at the proteins in those foods first. Make sure you're fully digesting proteins, and that's a longer story, but read why stomach acid is good for you if you have allergies, and I think that will help put a whole new light on your association with allergies in food. Okay, so thoughts on coconut flakes from Thrive Market. So thank you so much for sending this in. This is what it looks like, and we've got 3 different ingredients in here. The ingredients are organic coconut meat, organic coconut water, and organic palm starch. And to my knowledge, that sounds like pretty good ingredients. I don't know that much about the sourcing of this company, but the fact that they are all organic is very encouraging, and I don't see any reason why I wouldn't try this out. So I would give that a go for it. Looks like a pretty awesome product, and I'd love to hear how it tastes. So going on, is pasta good for you if eaten once a week and in a small amount, like a cup? Of course, gluten, wheat free. Thank you for the question. Okay, so here's again the thing that we go back to this. I want to remind everybody that if you have a gluten sensitivity, then you have a problem digesting proteins because gluten is a protein. So the question again has to go further up. If you're having a problem with that, then you actually are probably having a problem with all kinds of protein digestion. And like we just talked about, that's going to create all kinds of allergic type reactions, allergic type situations. So use that information to empower you to know that there's so much more you can do to actually improve your digestion as opposed to just not eating gluten. So I would actually encourage people to eat a whole food version of any type of wheat product that is organic. Back in the day, they would harvest it, they would mill it, and it would be good for about 2 or 3 days, and it would still be really good. And if you actually get your own organic wheat and you actually grind it yourself and bake your own bread, that is going to be the best possible scenario if you're going to make your own pasta. What happens is, when we try to make something to be able to stay on a shelf for a long period of time, we take all the living things out of it. We take the vitamin E out of it. We take the bran out of it. So now we don't have any fiber and we don't have any vitamin E. And those are two incredibly important micronutrients that should be in the wheat as it occurs in nature. So the real problem is the fact that we're taking something, we're taking the life out of it so that it can stay on a shelf, and then we're eating it expecting us to give us life, which it's not going to do really well. All you're going to be getting is the carbohydrate, basically cardboard, right? Just the glucose is going to be coming for you. Now, of course, there's a little other things in there, but overall, when you're looking at it from a holistic standpoint, you're missing so much that it's really not giving you a benefit. If you enjoy it, if it tastes good and you're trying to eat it because of those reasons, then great, go for it. Yes, we do need some carbohydrates. I prefer getting carbohydrates from nutrient-dense vegetables, like whole food vegetables, as opposed to anything processed. So remember, processed, refined, things have been stripped from it and removed that your body needs instead of getting it from a whole food aspect for it. The other thing about pasta is you really have to be careful about gluten, organic versus non-organic. Commercially raised wheat in this country has been adulterated. It has been hit by something called Roundup most of the time, drenched in pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. They stay in there, and when you eat it, they go in here. So glyphosates have been getting a lot of press these days. A lot of people, there's a huge lawsuit that's happening because of this. So that's the thing you got to be concerned about, is are you getting these chemicals beyond the fact that it's already been stripped of all this other good stuff for you? So there's multiple things that I'd be concerned about before worrying about the gluten in the wheat. I'd be more concerned about all those other things. But if I was going to eat wheat and I did have a problem with gluten, I'd make my own. I know that's not really practical, but I would definitely do things to help support my digestion. One of those things might be something like Zypan that's being asked about later. And by the way, the answer to that question is there shouldn't be any concern for somebody who is pregnant to be taking that. There's nothing on the label that says so, and there's no reason why I can see that there would be any concern with that for that person. Well, we jumped all over the place. But anyway, so is pasta good for you if eaten once a week? If it's a healthy, like whole food pasta, sure. It's not going to be a problem. Bread eaten once in a while is okay, but you have to be mindful of the fact that there are things in there that wouldn't be in there 100 years ago, and those are the things that we have to be concerned about. Okay, the chemicals that are being dumped in there, the fact that they're using bromine to be able to make and bake these products as opposed to iodine like they used to. Okay, and we did get a question about pet allergies. What causes it and how do you get rid of it? Yeah, that's a good question. So if you have allergies to like cats or dogs, so we're beyond what we're talking about with the digestion, but there's going to be a whole reaction to the body when you're breathing these things in. And depending on how strong your microbiome is and how strong your liver is, your filter is to be able to clean these things out, is going to give you a determination as to how strong your reaction is to that allergy. You probably most likely do have some level of antibodies floating around in you to those materials that you're inhaling, and that's kind of an issue. So the more you can clean your body out, the more you can remove any of the stressors so your body can handle that, the better you're going to be able to respond to those. But whoever that is, if you want to speak more specifically about that, we can look at what are the major stressors that are affecting you and how you can reduce those so that when you do get the stressor of some type of a pet allergy, it doesn't impact you as significantly. Okay, we have a question about eating an apple. Does eating apple peelings and core that most people throw away help in battling inflammation? So, all right, apples. Number one, anybody who's eating apples should be aware of the fact that the EWG.org, the Environmental Working Group, has every year an updated list of clean foods and dirty foods. They're the dirty dozen. The dirty dozen are those ones that have been sprayed with pesticides and chemicals. And you can just go to EWG.org and find out that apples are actually on that list. So I would be more concerned about that than whether or not the apple core is helping me with specifically in battling inflammation. The Clean 15 is actually really good to know about too, because then you can buy those and they don't have to be organic and save you some money. So eating an apple core, I mean, if you're going to eat the apple, go ahead and eat the whole apple, but I can't really speak to how that would specifically be even more significant in helping you battle inflammation. When you're thinking about battling inflammation, you want to make sure that you're resolving inflammation, you're removing those things that are increasing inflammation, and you're adding in those things that your body needs to help resolve inflammation. And so things like turmeric and ginger and those types of herbs have been shown to be very effective at that. But most important, I'm thinking about, is going to be healthy fats. You have to have healthy fats to help your body resolve inflammation. So unfortunately, I can't speak of that. If there's information out there that, or a study that you found that specifically says that eating an apple core helps with inflammation, I'd love to read it because I can't really draw a correlation in my brain as to understanding that at the moment. Okay, AF Beta Food and Zypan. These are two products that Standard Process offers for digestive help. And the question is, are they safe for pregnant women? And there was another one called Digest Forte. That's actually Medi-Herb product from Australia. And there is a contraindication for those herbs when you are pregnant or breastfeeding. So that is one that I would keep out of the equation, but I would still want to make sure that I have some level of bitter foods in my life. So kale, which is on the Dirty Dozen, so make sure you get it organic, and other bitters are still going to be important. Now, AF Beta Food, someone will look at that label and most likely say, oh my goodness, there's all this vitamin A in there, and we got to be very careful about all the vitamin A when we are having a baby. So this is a huge, huge difference, and this is something everybody has to understand. When they are saying the certain aspects of vitamin A, what the FDA is recognizing on there is beta carotene. So they're looking at a certain thing and putting a percentage based on the beta carotene. And the studies that have shown problems are when they're only using the fractionated beta carotene. They have not made a distinction between a whole food vitamin A as it occurs in nature versus the fractionated one. So that's a huge difference. So you do want to get your whole food vitamin A from your vegetables. Remember, it is a fat-soluble vitamin, so you have to get your healthy fats with it. And what AF Beta Food mostly is beets and beet greens. It is a whole food version of things that are going to help that. So there should not be, of course, anything in excessive amounts is going to be a problem, but there shouldn't be any reason why that would be an issue for women who are that. In fact, I find women who have morning sickness are missing the nutrients that are in that, and that can help a lot with that feeling that they're getting in the morning. Okay, also last thing here, explaining the benefits of figs. Be sure to point out the fiber and the purpose of the seeds in the figs. Well, here's what I'm going to say about figs. Is they're, again, a whole food. There are multiple benefits. They're a great source of a lot of micronutrients, potassium, which is missing horribly from the American diet, calcium, magnesium, a lot of these micronutrients that we're not getting. There's going to be iron, there's going to be copper, there's going to be vitamin A in there. So it is a great whole food vitamin in a lot of ways that you're going to get a lot of benefits for your digestion. There's multiple uses that it's been used historically, and perhaps in the next time I'll go into the purpose of the seeds in the figs a little bit more. We're running a little low on time, and I did have a couple of, had a whole book that we're going to review on Thursday. We had a question about it, about hormones over 40. There's actually some really good information that they gave in this book, but they're missing a few pieces from what I can see, and I just want to make sure that we're helping you put those missing pieces in if you're going to follow that. So we're going to get to that book on Thursday, 12:45. Is there another question live right now? Okay, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate the questions coming in, and I hope that you're finding these answers satisfactory and sufficient. If they're not, please tag below and say, hey, could you go into that a little bit more? On the next one, I'll make sure that I get a little more detail on it and answer it to the best of my ability. Please share this information with those out there that you find maybe looking for solutions to their health, and they're not finding them because they're not looking at things from a holistic approach. That holistic approach can be the biggest piece when it comes to being a game changer in your health. So keep watching, guys, keep sharing and liking, and thank you for all the questions. Take care.